everybody, welcome back to the farm. We are starting you inside today because we are working once again with our Coleus plants. And in today's video, we're going to be doing some propagation, which is preparing some cuttings for them, putting them into some potting soil and getting them ready to develop their own individual plants that we can use out in the landscape later on. We have about a month or so before it's ready to get these outside into the landscape. Today is April 25th. It's a perfect date. Not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. So we're going to...
Or a tank top.
or a tank top. So today we're going to once again walk you through that process. We've done these videos before, but we noticed that a lot of our followers tend to love Coleus as much as we do. So we really get excited anytime we get a chance to talk about these plants in particular. What you see here is how the mother plants, as we refer to them, are looking right now. A lot of them have...
What the mother plants is?
The mother plant is the plant that we will be using to take the cuttings from these individual plants to do the propagation for what will then create their own new plants. We have a video that we will link down below where Dragon did a kind of a time lapse. It took about, what was it, about five to 8 weeks, showing how he went through and trimmed all of the Coleus plants completely back down, and then you got a chance to see how they reflushed. So that's a very healthy thing for you to do, not only with this particular plant, but with your plants that are out in the landscape and other household plants too. You know, I'm a person who used to always say, no, you're gonna damage the plant, and I was so in love with how it looked in its current state that I couldn't wrap my brain around taking it down to the nubs and allowing it to kind of flush back and be even more beautiful and more full than it was before. But the Coleus is a great example of plants that are able to do just that. So check out that video as well.
So mother plants are plants that we overwintered. Coleus is a warm season plant. They cannot handle temperatures below 40s. So in the fall, once temperatures start dropping down, we pick our favorites and take 2 of each individual plant that we have and bring them in. We have this nice south-facing window here that we use for most of our Coleus here whole winter long, and then we overwinter them. And then in upcoming spring, like Kevin said, we start preparing them for propagation and for multiplying them. So.
Yeah, and also too, once these plants get outdoors, the colors will become even more vibrant. The Coleus is traditionally a shade-loving plant, but as some of the newer varieties by different companies, particularly proven winners, has engineered new types of Coleus so that they can withstand heat, so they can be sun-loving or shade-loving plants. So when you are picking these out, make sure that you know the difference between those so that you don't inadvertently put a shade-loving Coleus out into the sun and then you lose that. So before we take you out and walk you through that stuff, I'll show you quickly on this side too. We have some of the cuttings. There are different ways that you can get your plants going and get them rooted. You can simply also too just take a cutting from this, get it down and put it in water. I mean, these just been sitting in water for just a few days, and you can see how that root system develops very quickly. Coleus is a super resilient plant. It wants to live. It wants to develop those roots. So whether you want to try first just putting it in a little bit of water and sitting it somewhere where it can get some good lighting, doesn't need to be directly into the sun. You know, we have this just kind of sitting here near some other plants that are rooting. That's all it needs is just a little bit of natural light, some water, and they aren't that fussy when they are trying to root. If you want to bypass that step and directly put them into the soil itself, you can do that, which is what we're going to be doing today.
All right, so let's take a look which one of these plants are best to be propagated. As you can see, this variety right here, this is one of Kevin's favorite. It's called Electric Lime. It has a really nice, vibrant yellow and green colors. Really nice long stems and multiple here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 14 branches that we can get cuttings from. So that's what we're looking at. So we have 2 of those. Like I said earlier, we try to keep 2 of each variety just in case something happens to one of them. But these 2 bushed out really nicely. Some of them did not bush out as nice. We can look at this one here. This is fishnet stockings. So this one is kind of struggling a little bit to bounce back, but it has a nice amount of new growth right there in the middle. So it's kind of interesting to see that both of these plants were cut down at the same time. And just look at the difference between those 2. The mold here, I didn't notice this. I don't know what's going on here. I need some direct sun exposure. Sun will kill the mold. But this is other fishnet and looks much better on the other hand. It's larger. So we're going to be able to get some cuttings from this one. So we're going to take a few of these out and get them propagated. So I'll grab these 2 electric limes. We'll take them outside. Outside it's kind of nice, overcast.
A perfect date.
Perfect date, like Kevin said. Whoever gets the Miss Congeniality reference. So we'll take these outside and get them going. Right now we're going to get the rest of the ones that we're going to propagate and bring you back to the process. All right, time to get started. Propagation process. You can see we have a couple of different varieties that we're going to propagate today. This one is, we mentioned earlier, electric lime. This one is new variety that we just acquired last fall. It's a really deep burgundy red. It is not a redhead because this is redhead here. It has much darker red, deeper red, and then burgundy, which I really, really love. We have Inferno right here. Then we have, this is cherry pie, right, Kevin, I believe?
Cherry pie.
Cherry pie. And
cherry pie is a drag queen.
Rustic orange. So these varieties we're going to start propagating today. Tools that you need for this is very minimal. You can use regular scissors or what do you call these?
Shears or snips.
Shears or snips. Some poking stick. We use old chopsticks that we have to make holes. Optional is a rooting agent. I personally don't really like using this, especially when it's in the spring season. They have no issues rooting quite quickly. And obviously tray where you're gonna plant them. These are, I believe, 2x2 trays. Each cell is 2x2 inches. So you will keep them here for next probably 1.5 to 2 months. We already fill the trays obviously and moisten the soil. The next thing all we're going to do is just start working on the cuttings. So we'll take the plant. So as Kevin said earlier, hardest thing is just to remind yourself that you kind of don't care what this mother plant is going to look like. Its job is to give you as many cuttings as you possibly can get from it, because they will flush back again. So we'll take these, like this big stem right here. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 leaf nodes that we can use. This one already has some nice grow outs here. So we're gonna snip it So you can see these side shoots, and we're going to snip it right above that. And then we're going to, these are about, what is this, about 3 inches deep. So we're going to cut this to that depth. You can even cut it diagonal so it has larger surface to absorb the moisture. Then we're going to snip all these leaves. These top leaves, we're not going to cut them completely because these are a bit small. We're going to just cut in half. Look at these bigger ones. And your cutting is ready. So this you can put in the water, let it root for 2 weeks, and then put it in the soil. Or you can just literally put it in the soil, pack it in like so, and it's ready to go. That's how simple propagating Coleus is. Optional step, like I mentioned earlier, so we're going to take this one. This one has a little more leaves. This is the lead stem. So we're going to cut all of these off. Which leaves us with nice healthy center. Now what you can do, dip it in a little bit of water. Dip it in rooting edges, shake off the axis, and do the exact same thing. I have great success with both, and I do not see any, when we do it, I do not see major difference in roots or anything while we're doing this. So I usually do it just without using the rooting agent. We use rooting edge for some of the other transplants, other plants when we transplant, but with Coleus it's not really necessary. So now what we're going to do is just go around each of these plants, cut down and maximize the amount of cuttings that we can use from it, and just pot them up. While you wait, while you're doing this cutting, so now while preparing, instead of just doing each one individually, I'm going to cut this one up like so. I'm going to do this one. You see, have new growth there. I'm going to cut that right above it. Trim these big leaves. Why am I trimming these big leaves? So these big leaves require moisture. And plant doesn't have any roots, still needs to develop roots to get the moisture. So it will still be able to absorb some energy from the light, but will not require as much moisture as it would as a whole leaf. Get this cutting ready, and while we preparing the rest of them, I'm just going to leave it in the water so it doesn't lose any moisture. This one as well. Cut these. Already. So your new roots most likely will come out of these leaf nodes. Got a nice growth there. We're going to trim these. So this one, instead of single shoot like this one, we'll have a double shoot, so it kind of already has a better head start to be a nice bushy plant. So this one's actually a bit too long, so we're going to make it a little shorter. These are a bit too big, and here we are. And this is all we're going to do to the rest of this plant. here we are. We had to move into the shade. It got really sunny and hot, and Coleus was starting to wilt since they're been inside all winter long, most of the winter. So they were getting shocked from the sun. But here's where we are right now. We so far see what I said earlier. You kind of have to forgive yourself because you're going to butcher your mother plant. But there's all these new shoots, and within a couple of weeks she'll be back into a full mature plant. But from each plant we got about 16, I think, between 12 and 16 cuttings. So far here we have 3 trays of 32, which is 96 cuttings, which will give us a great head start. We still have a few more varieties that we're going to propagate in the rest of these trays. But this is all it takes, guys. This is very simple and easy process. That's why we love this plant so much. Yes, it is a cold climate plant. You can have it outside for, I would say, starting May through all the way through, we are zone 7A. For us, we can have it from May all the way through somewhere mid-October. As soon as temperature starts dipping into low 40s, you kind of have to bring it in or just let the frost kill it. But yeah, just such a beautiful plant, beautiful this is. Right now we could potentially leave it in the greenhouse, but we have a couple of nights in this week again dipping into mid-30s, so I do not want to risk losing these. I'm gonna put it inside the house under the grow lights for next probably 2 weeks. Let it establish there, and you will definitely, I'll keep you guys updated, you will definitely see in 2 weeks you will start to see the growth and development of these plants. So let's put them inside and go from there. All right, now we are inside the house. This is our grow light setup. You've seen it in our previous videos. They will have more stable temperatures here. You know, inside the house, temperatures are about 70 degrees, plus minus 5. But they'll spend here next couple of weeks until outside warms up, and they'll slowly start adjusting them to outside. We might be potting them up in the larger pots or planting them directly into the soil, into the flower beds. So this is it. This is what you can do with your Coleus, and we love, like we mentioned many times, we love doing this. Hopefully this helps you guys. Hopefully you like this video. Please let us know down in comments below what do you think, what are your favorite plants to propagate. Keep in touch and see you in the next video.